I'm going to take you guys on a journey from the very first drawing I did all the way up to the latest drawing, which is the one you see on the right side of the screen, and what I learnt from each one. This is not going to be an in-depth video, but just sort of like a general outline. This is one of my portfolios. I'll only be showing you what's inside this one in this video due to the fact that it will take too long to go through all my drawings. That's not to say that these drawings in here are far more important than the other ones, because every single drawing I've done has challenged me in a different way to become a better artist. But for now, we'll just stick to this folder. I only went to art school for like 2 weeks and then I dropped out. Everything I learnt about realistic drawings came from practice, internet research, and videos on how to draw. Now, if we open it up, oh my god. These are drawings I did way back. Have a look at that. I forgot all about these. This one here. This was before I could do realism. I had no clue about tones and how to match tones. This was as good as I could do. It took me 13 minutes apparently. Jesus, that is nostalgic. This is another drawing I sort of made up. Oh my god. I was starting to experiment with realism. You can kind of see it. I got the dark areas. I didn't understand tones, but I knew that shading created depth. So this was done on the 4th of the 3rd, 2009. I was so proud of it, and I still am. I used to show everybody this. So drawing at that point was just a hobby for me, something I did for fun. An anime character, that's actually how I had my hair back in the day. Here I did some more experimentations. This was about 11 years ago as well. That was my last go at cartoon style drawings. I don't know 100% on the dates and all that sort of stuff. I could be really off. After I got my Prismacolor pencils, I did this. And this is all completely out of my head. What I decided I should do is experiment with blending. As you can see, I've used the blacks. I've just drawn random things and I've colored them in. This is sort of how I got the feel for the Prismacolor pencils. So after I went through all this and done all my, practicing blending, I started to get gradients and see how I've got the dark in there, light in there. I'm using the pencils to create form. You can kind of see me trying to create depth. I think some of you guys have seen videos of my drawings when I was really bad. I will put some of those drawings up the screen now. There was quite a lot of failures as well, a lot. Like there's an attempt at a portrait right there, straight out of my head. Wasn't the best. That was done in 2009. Now that was my attempt at a realistic color pencil portrait, and it went really bad. I tried to draw it from my head. It was supposed to be a self-portrait, but as you can see, I didn't understand how realistic drawings worked. I didn't understand values. I didn't understand how to desaturate colors. You can see my lips, how I've done the lips. They're really bright red. Okay, here's some more drawings. That was another attempt at a color pencil portrait. That didn't go so well due to picking the wrong reference. More attempts at doing color pencil drawings. See those eyes and nose? How flat they were. Partly that was due to the paper and pencils I was using. The combination wasn't correct. I was starting to lose motivation, to be honest, at this point. Then I did this one, this anime girl drawing. My passion for drawing sort of reunited again because I felt like I pushed a boundary. I got a little bit closer to photorealism. So after I did this anime girl drawing, did this one. I was really ecstatic about it, to be honest. I was so happy. But still, again, I didn't understand colors. Though it may look like I did, I followed a tutorial to get to this. This drawing of Alan, I said I did this in 2009. I think I did that like 5 years ago. After I did that, I decided, nah, I can't do realistic color pencil drawings. It's just too much. I don't understand how people do them. I stuck to graphite because I thought that was the only thing I could do. Everything else was just too hard. It was just out of my league. Here's some pictures of me attempting graphite drawings. I couldn't get them realistic enough, so I kept on going and going. I was researching on the internet, trying to figure out why I couldn't do them. How I got into realism is I saw a video on YouTube drawing Harry Potter. I think it was like 7 years ago I saw it. I was like, oh my god. And I decided then and there I was going to do a realistic drawing. Now my very first attempt at realism, I can't find the drawing. It was an eye. This is my second attempt at realism, and I did this with graphite. I followed a tutorial to be able to get it to this level, but yeah, I was really happy with it at the time. I was showing everyone. I used a bit of black pencil in there to get a bit more contrast. You can kind of see it a little bit, and a little bit in there. That's not all graphite, a little bit of black. This one was my third attempt at a realistic drawing. Yeah, this was done in 2013. Yeah, this was 2009, so 4 years later, to go from that one over there to this one. You can kind of see see this white edge here? How it looks like it's floating. But I understood that when you shaded things darker, like up here, and you do gradients, it made things look 3D. I understood that notion. I added a bit of pencil in there. Actually, I think it was Prismacolor black to really get the black in there in order to create a really nice contrast. And then I added white in there to create brighter white. After I did that eye, I was feeling incredibly inspired. I did some more lips, black against these bright light areas. Really made it pop. I did another little drawing here. I followed a tutorial to do this. I began to experiment a bit more, try to create depth by using these high contrast things. This was back 7 years ago. I stumbled across a video, which I'll link down below, but that video changed everything. It clicked. The second I finished watching it, it just clicked. And so I drew up a portrait and started shading using the advice I got from that video, and I ended up with this one right here. I was super proud of that one. So that's a huge step going from that drawing there, you see, up to this one. It seems like a massive jump, but with the right amount of information, it's very possible. Then I went on to do this one. I was really getting an understanding for values and how they worked. You can see how I love to put the real dark values in there against the real white ones. I tried to do a hyper-realistic drawing there. Still didn't know how to do realistic color pencil drawings. That was so far beyond me. I did Nemo drawing. Went back, I think I did another fox drawing. One of my biggest, scariest things about realistic portraits was skin tones. I got into the notion, in order to do a realistic portrait, you need sort of like a recipe of colors, and I just didn't know the recipe, which is incorrect. That's not the right way to think about it. There's no recipe that if you had that recipe, suddenly you can do realistic skin tones. It doesn't work that way. And I was looking everywhere for people to list their skin tones they used for their drawings so I could copy them. And I did manage to find some people that did that. It didn't yield any results. This was my very first completed color pencil portrait. What changed between this and that one? Obviously you guys can see there's a massive difference between the Alan drawing and Daniel Radcliffe. I had done a lot of research on the internet, and someone told me to draw what you see, not what you think you see. That was the first thing I learned. The second thing that changed everything is I went into the art shop. I was talking to the person who ran the shop, and I asked her if she had any Prismacolor pencils. And she goes, sorry, we don't sell them. But we have Faber-Castells if you're interested. And to be honest, the first time I saw them, I'm like, nah. I wanted the Prismacolor pencils because that's what Heather Rooney used. I'm like, what's the odds that the Faber-Castells are that good? I could not get the Prismacolor pencils working. So I went back to the art shop and I brought the Faber-Castell pencils. I tried the pencils on the Strathmore paper, which is this here. And it didn't work at all. It wouldn't layer. Just a side note, this turtle here was done with the Prismacolor pencils, and I was using smooth Strathmore paper. So when I got the Faber-Castell pencils, I assumed that the paper that I drew the turtle on would work with the Faber-Castells because, well, why wouldn't it? I mean, it worked with the Prismas. Because I saw on the internet someone said that different paper works for people differently, as well as different pencils and paper combinations yield different results. That's when she pointed me to the Stonehenge paper. And I took it home. The difference between the Stonehenge paper and the smooth Strathmore paper was like night and day. Because of their particular qualities of each one of them, they just worked very well together. Due to the fact that the Stonehenge paper has far more texture, so I can get so many more layers down. So when I started this drawing of Daniel Radcliffe, my only thought was to layer on the paper very, very gently. That was the only goal I had in my mind. It took me hours and hours just to do the one eye. I looked at the reference, I looked at what colors I saw, and I added it in. I didn't truly understand what I was doing yet, and if I did make a mistake, I could actually lift the pencil off the paper, which I did. I made so many mistakes on that eye. This drawing here, there is some more difference too, is I learned how to desaturate colors. That's one thing many people don't realize, is when you're doing a drawing, controlling the saturation of the colors is the biggest thing. Because when I did the PewDiePie drawing, I remember seeing it and thinking it was too saturated, too bright. I mean, it just didn't look right in the colors. It was just too much. And it was not until I did the Jim Carrey drawing that I learned how to desaturate colors. So that's a brief journey on how I went from cartoon drawings all the way up to realism. I missed a lot of information. If you take anything away from this video, when you see my drawings, I want you guys to think that it wasn't overnight. It wasn't something that I just did and I was good at. It was actually a struggle to the point where I gave up multiple times and I didn't want to do it again. I just thought I didn't have the talent. But it was the persistence and the research. I used to think to myself, how does someone create realistic drawings that look realistic? Like, what are they doing that I'm not doing? I've been getting a lot of people sending me messages who are quite upset that I'm not teaching anymore. I agree, because I remember how it feels not being able to do a realistic drawing, to being stuck. No matter what you do, you just feel like you just can't get anywhere. Any requests for what kind of videos you want, put it down below and I'm going to do them. Have a good one.